And Will Jackson started building robots when he was 13 years old. And since that time, he's looked to integrate technology and creativity in everything that he's done. He's worked in a very interesting variety of careers. He's been in design, he's been in advertising, and in 2005, he merged these together and he founded Engineered Arts. Engineered Arts was designed to create unique humanoid robots. They've got robots deployed in 27 countries around the world in organizations as unique as Merlin Entertainment, Cisco, and PWC. And for those of you that were here last year, you saw one of Engineered Arts' robots on stage. Otto, the singing robot, was from Engineered Arts. Please give a warm welcome to Will Jackson. Will, it's great to have you here.
Thanks, Joshua.
So could you tell us a little bit more about Engineered Arts?
Okay, so when we founded Engineered Arts back in 2005, we were really a science communication company. It wasn't teaching in classrooms, not universities. We were teaching to the public. So hundreds of people, thousands of people in venues like science centers, museums, visitor attractions, theme parks, that kind of thing. So it could be even 10,000 people in a day that we were communicating with, millions of people in a year. We found the best way that we could communicate to people was talk to them. But as most of you here know today, that talking to a couple of hundred people is pretty tiring, and by the time you get to 10,000, you'll be lucky to be still standing up. So we had an idea. Maybe we could automate the process of human interaction. Maybe we could make a machine that could not just speak, but gesture, pull expressions, be emotive, communicate with people in a human way. Our first humanoid robot, Robothespian, Otto is one of those, was born.
Excellent. So I'm guessing along the way that you encountered a number of different challenges as you were creating these different robots.
Yeah, the biggest one that we hit, so here we are building early days hardware, then the big problem comes, what's the software stack for running all of this? And we looked around, and really, there just wasn't anything there back in 2005. So we need something for content creation and distribution. We had a huge number of just physical parameters to set for all this hardware. We needed to debug, we needed to configure, we needed to maintain. We needed to teleoperate, so you can take over a robot with a human operator at a distance. And we needed to integrate third-party apps, and we needed to run across multiple platforms. So it might be a small embedded device running on Raspberry Pi, or it could be x86 running Intel-type platform. Jump forward 14 years later. So one of the decisions we made right at the start was to be platform agnostic. Back in 2005, we weren't even talking cloud then, we were talking server-side, cloud came later. But it turned out to be a smart decision. We built a virtual robot platform, a 3D simulation of hardware in the cloud that we could use to program real hardware. We built UIs for managing these big data sets, ways of visualizing that data, so probe you see there. We built an interface, kind of like Skype without Skype, for talking through robots, which was Tin Man, and then we built wrappers for bringing in third-party services like Google Voice speech recognition, face recognition, and then we ported that to different platforms.
So this is all pretty heady stuff. I'm curious if you could tell folks a little bit how you see some of these technologies applying in the AppDirect world.
Okay, so imagine the appification of hardware. So you're used to seeing apps as software. Now imagine that you could take various novel hardware platforms. In this illustration, we're showing perhaps an industrial robotics scenario. So here we have an operator who's configuring something as a virtual simulation in a cloud, and they can choose the functionality, the features, how fast they want this robot to go, what kind of stacking it needs to do. They can configure all that, see that represented virtually in the cloud, and it's not just a 3D image you're seeing, it's a complete model of the dynamics of that system. So you're seeing the movement, you're seeing just how this thing would be in reality. That can then translate to physical hardware. The customer can provision just the features that they need, and they can add on, take away as they need to when their requirements change for that kind of hardware. So this is a great application, I think, for this kind of software platform. Looking at another scenario, so one of the big problems that we faced in our early days was supporting hardware. Very early on, we were exporting robots to many different countries. I personally spent a lot of time on airplanes, and I thought, we have to solve this problem. We needed some way of remotely diagnosing hardware. So we built what we call now Probe or Scope as a web-based application that could monitor data on remote hardware anywhere. Super powerful, so useful. Now we can talk to our customers. We can say, sure, we see what the problem is. You've just got to tweak this. We'll alter that. Everything will be fine. Before, we used to get conversations like, oh, it just kind of doesn't work, and it's a bit weird. And we were like what weird? You know, like, so now we don't have those conversations anymore. We know before our customers know what the problem is, and we can proactively be maintaining their hardware.
Excellent. So, I guess last scenario. Can you walk us through a little bit on that?
Okay, so one other scenario you might have. So we're used to seeing visualizations of individual hardware objects. Imagine you've got a collection of hardware that doesn't always play nicely together. Imagine you could present that to your customer and include all of this additional data, all of the other parameters, allow them to have a kind of in-browser CAD system, if you will, but very focused, very tailored to their requirements, their experience. So they can make selections of, in this illustration, complex industrial switchgear system. I know from my own experience trying to source all this stuff is just mind-boggling nightmare. You know, oh, that doesn't go with that, you have to do this. So this is another area where you can provide a much simplified experience for the consumer.
Well, excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh.
A round of applause for Will. Thank you.
Thank you.